Today we're going to disassemble, clean, and lubricate this unloaded SIG Sauer P320. This is the M18 model, so let's get started. All we're going to use to do this, we're going to use a bore snake, we're going to use original gun oil, which is a CLP, which means cleaner, lubricant, and protectant, some patches, maybe a few cotton swabs, and a gun brush. And while the slide is locked back, we're going to take this takedown lever and we're going to rotate it clockwise as far as it goes. Grab a hold of the slide, press back, you'll see the slide stop release, and then slowly let the slide come off the front of the gun. Next, we're going to take the guide rod and recoil spring out. That comes out just like that. Grab a hold of the barrel, and the barrel lifts out like so. And that's as far apart as you need to take it to do a good thorough cleaning on the front. The basic idea here is that we're going to take some of this CLP, which is a cleaner and a lubricant. We're going to take it and we're going to put it on all the pertinent places that get dirty, on all the pieces. We're going to let it sit for a few minutes and then we're going to wipe everything down. Then after that, we're going to lubricate it and reassemble. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take the barrel and we're going to put a few drops of original gun oil down the barrel. And then we'll take a cotton swab and just kind of smear that around a little bit to make sure it's coating the inside of the barrel real nice. And we're going to set that aside. We're going to do the same thing with the slide. We're going to just put a few drops, especially in the slide cuts on the side. We're going to get a gun brush and just kind of smear the cleaner around. And then we're going to wipe it off after. This is just going to work on getting the dirt loose. Here on the breech face, we want to be careful. We don't want to get any oil down in the hole for the striker. And we want to be careful not to get a bunch of oil down in this area. This is the striker. Alright, so we'll just let that sit for a little bit. And on the frame, on the metal pieces here, we want to get these clean. These 4 rails, 1, 2, 3, 4, and anywhere else where it looks like it's dirty on the inside here. Put a couple of drops there, a couple of extra drops around just in there, and we're going to, just using the brush, kind of smear it around, and then we're going to come back and wipe all this off. You can also just get a little oil on a brush and kind of put it through there, and we'll clean that off later. And the recoil spring and guide rod assembly doesn't really need much. It really doesn't get dirty, but if you want to clean it, you can put a drop, spin it around with the brush, and then we'll wipe it down after a little bit. Add a drop to the outside of the barrel, just kind of smear it around. We're going to wipe that off, clean it up. One important place to get is the feed ramp right here. That's where your rounds slide up into the chamber. Now you can use whatever kind of cleaner you want. I just tend to use the original gun oil. I've been using this for a few years. It's non-toxic, doesn't stink. I can use it in the house, get it on my fingers, and it doesn't hurt anything. Okay, so it's been a few minutes, so I'm going to start with the barrel. I'm just going to wipe down the outside of the barrel to get the cleaner off and get the oil off and get some of the dirt off. And then, instead of running a bunch of patches through the barrel, which can be time consuming, I'm just going to get a bore snake and I'm going to run that through the barrel a couple times. The bore snake has built-in brushes, which is going to help clean the inside of the barrel of any caked on buildup. So you want to get a bore snake that is the same caliber as your firearm. So this is a 9mm. So I have a 9mm bore snake here. So that's going to save you a lot of time. Alright, so we went through there a couple times. Looks nice and clean. Alright, now we're done with the barrel for now. Now I'm just going to wipe all the cleaner off here. The best way I find to do that is to take a cloth, use the brush again to push the cloth into all the crevices and cracks. The brush will push the cloth into the slide cuts. Does a great job getting all the dirt and all the cleaner out of there. Brush. Okay, just want to make sure that's nice and clean in there. Any place that you weren't able to get, you just get your cotton swab. I love these cotton swabs. I got a pointy tip and a regular tip, so I can really get where I need to go. It's very important that you get underneath the extractor in this little gap right here. That's what grabs the brass after you fire the round and extracts it out of the barrel, and then with the help of the ejector ejects it out of the gun. Just put a drop or two on a rag to clean the exterior of the slide. This will just get the dirt off. It's also going to help with rust preventative. Alright, that's pretty good to go. We're going to do the same thing with the frame. You can wipe off what you can get to. Then you can use the brush to get in there and get all the little areas, get all the tight areas with the brush. You can even get down inside with the brush. Get your swabs out and you can get anywhere you missed. Just push a couple of rags through the grip there and clean that out real good. Okay. Alright, make sure the external part of the grip and frame are clean. Lastly, we have the guide rod. Just kind of spin it in my hands and the brush will clean it all up like that. Alright, nice and clean. Now it's time to lubricate. Okay, so now we want to lubricate the SIG P320. So first we're going to do the slide, and the SIG manual calls for a little bit of lube in each of the frame rail slots. The rail slots are the grooves that run all the way along the length of the slide. That's where the slide moves back and forth on the frame. So we just want to put one small drop, just one small drop in the rail on either side. Take a brush and spread that drop of oil up and down the length of the rail slot. Alright, and then wipe off any excess. Don't wipe it out of the groove, just wipe off any extra that might have come out of the groove. The SIG manual specifically says not to oil the striker assembly, so that would be striker hole or the parts down here where the striker moves back and forth. If you get oil in there, it'll attract dirt and that could bog down the striker, in which case your gun may not fire when you need it to. Now it also says to lube all external parts. The way I would lube all external parts is to take a patch, put maybe one drop on there, wipe that one drop, just wipe it. This is more for a rust preventative. Just kind of wipe everything down a little bit with that little drop of oil on there. Alright, so that's it for lubrication of the slide. Now the barrel, if you're going to store the gun for a period of time, you want to get a patch, get some oil on it and push it through the barrel, just to protect the inside of the barrel from rust over time. And if you do that, you definitely want to clean that out. Just run a dry patch through there before you shoot the gun. If you're going to carry the gun, you don't need to do that. Put a drop on a cloth and just wipe down the outside. Alright, that's all I would do for that. Recoil spring and guide rod. I would put one very small drop on the top half, one very small drop on the bottom half. I would just work that around a little bit with a brush. Wipe it down with a patch, just a surface coating. And then the frame, we want to put a little bit on each of the frame rails. There's 4 of them. That's where the slide moves back and forth. Just a touch of oil. The manual says to oil all accessible functioning parts. So basically, anywhere where metal might be sliding up against metal, just put a drop in there and then wipe it off, because you only want some of that little drop going down in there. Alright, so that's pretty much all we need for lubrication for the SIG, very little. So now to reassemble the SIG P320, take your slide upside down, take the barrel, and the barrel just drops in like so. And then we want to take the guide rod and recoil spring assembly and put the front end in here, squeeze this back so it ends up like that. Now very, very important, this end of the recoil spring is actually oval. So this oval, if you pull it out, you see it's oval in shape. You cannot put it in like that. You must put it in standing straight up and down like that. So it's going to look just like that. It's okay, so now just line up these slots with the frame rails, just like this. Slide it on. Sometimes you have to jiggle the back just a little bit to get it to line up. Move it all the way back. Push this up. Slide stop to hold it back. Now you can move the takedown lever back into place like this. Move the slide back again. Slide stop releases. And now the gun is back together. So first thing I would do is rack this a few times. Spread some of that oil around, get that worked in there a little bit. And that's it. So now you're done cleaning the gun. What I would recommend next, I'll have a video on how to do a function and safety check to make sure everything is functioning properly. I'll put a link in the description and I'll link it up here at the top. So if you found this video useful, please hit the like button below and please subscribe. All the products that I used in this video are linked in the description below, so please check them out. And thanks for watching. Function and safety check on a SIG P320. Anytime you have reassembled your SIG after cleaning, you want to do a quick function check to make sure all the safeties and all the functions are working properly. So first thing we want to do, of course, is to verify that the gun is completely unloaded, which it is. So the first function verification is to check the recoil spring function and slide travel. And all you do there is simply retract the slide all the way, release it, make sure it closes all the way, and locks fully in the closed position, and then repeat. Next is the trigger mechanism. Press the trigger fully to the rear, obviously pointed in a safe direction, and we just rack the slide so it is ready to go. So the striker does fall. Alright, after you verify that the trigger works, next thing we want to do, rack the slide again, place the exterior safety on if you have one, make sure the trigger does not press and the striker does not fall. Then release the safety, make sure the trigger works. And if you have ambidextrous safety, which this one does, just make sure you can put the safety on and off on both sides. The next verification is the slide catch. So take a verified empty magazine, load it into the gun, rack the slide all the way to the rear. It should lock in place as it should on an empty magazine. Then press the slide release down and the gun should close. Okay, after the slides stop, we want to release the magazine. Inspect the magazine, make sure the base plate is nice and secure. Make sure the follower moves up and down. And if you have more than one magazine, make sure you do that on all the magazines. Base plate nice and tight. Follower moves up and down with the spring. Alright, then next we want to just insert the magazine into the gun. Make sure it's secure, not going to come out. press the slide release and the magazine should come out very easily. That should be a very smooth operation. We just want to inspect the exterior of the firearm, make sure everything is in proper working condition. The next thing for the function and safety test would be to get some dummy rounds. These are 9mm dummy rounds, and I'm just going to load 5 of those into a magazine. Dummy rounds are simply fake ammunition that are the same size and shape of, say, 9mm, for example. And the purpose of dummy rounds is to test functions of your gun as well as work on manipulation drills without having to fire your weapon. So we have 5 dummy rounds in here. Release the safety. Now the gun is loaded. The next thing we want to check is the chamber loaded indicator. So on this gun, this little piece pops up when there's a round in the chamber, just to let you know without opening the chamber that there's a round in there. You should never trust that 100%. You should always check to make sure there is or isn't a round in your gun, and you should know the condition of your gun. So now with a magazine full of dummy rounds, I'm going to simulate firing the weapon by simply racking the slide 5 times. What should happen is each time I rack the slide, it should extract and eject a dummy round, and then when the magazine is empty, the slide should lock back. So we simply do this 5 times briskly. And it locks back on an empty magazine. So that's the last test that I would do. And this gun is ready to roll. If you like this video, please hit like below. Please subscribe, and thanks for watching. Today we're going to disassemble and clean the P320 magazines. It's a real simple procedure to do. While you're cleaning your gun, you might as well clean the magazines, especially if while out on the range you drop them in gravel or dirt. You definitely want to get these clean. So all we need to clean the magazines are some basic tools. You're going to need a pin punch or a small screwdriver to get the base plate off, a soft brush for cleaning the inside of the magazine, some CLP, which is what's recommended by the SIG manual. This is original gun oil that I use for everything. It's a very good CLP. And some cotton rags or some soft rags of some sort. Paper towels will even do the job. So first, alright, to get the base plate off of this SIG P320 magazine, the base plate comes off in this direction, but first we need to press this tab down. Now the tab on the SIG, it sits on a little ledge, so you do have to kind of move it forward and then down. So just take a pin punch or a screwdriver or anything like that, press it forward, and then you can press it straight down. Once it's down, just start the base plate forward a little bit. Make sure you put a finger here. Don't point it at your face. Make sure you have eye protection on, because when you pull that forward, this is going to push up from the spring pressure. So this is your floor plate. This is your spring. This is your follower. And this is the magazine tube. And then we just want to clean each of these pieces. All we basically want to do, we want to wipe everything down with a little bit of CLP gun oil and then put it back together. And it's pretty simple. I'll put a little gun oil, just a couple of drops on the rag. Depends on how dirty things are. If things are really dirty, you want to use a little more. And then I'm just going to kind of wipe the spring down all the way down. Do the same thing with the follower. Just wipe the sides where it slides along inside the tube. Clean everything else up. Clean the base plate. Make sure there's no gravel and dirt in there, that kind of thing. And then for the tube, put just a drop or two on a brush, and then you can just kind of brush the inside of the magazine tube. Again, make sure there's no gravel or anything like that in the tube that's going to keep it from functioning right. When you're done that, I like to just take a rag and just push a rag through there a couple of times. It's going to push any dirt through, get it out of there. And then outside of the magazine, just wipe it all down. Now the SIG user manual suggests a very small amount of lubrication on the spring and the magazine tube after it's clean, so I'll just go ahead and do the same thing. and then just kind of wipe the outside of the spring. Just a tiny little covering of CLP on there to help it move up and down. The follower, and then the inside of the magazine. And then we put it back together. So to put it back together, this is kind of the nose, so that's in the front. So this is the front of the magazine right here, where this little gap is here. So you want to slide that up into the magazine, make sure it's all the way up. Now again, be careful with the eye protection here. So set this the same way as your magazine is oriented. It's got some grooves in the top. Kind of match it up in the grooves, and then carefully push that back in. Hold it in place with the thumb, and then start sliding your base plate on enough to hold it, and then push that down far enough to slide this forward, and it will snap right back into place. Now, in order to test it, make sure your follower moves up and down. Make sure your base plate doesn't come off, and this tab is flush with the bottom. And then something I always do after I put magazines back together and after I put my guns back together, this is a 9mm, so I get some 9mm dummy rounds. I load up the magazine. I usually put about 5 rounds in there, making sure the firearm doesn't have any real rounds anywhere in the area. It is unloaded, there's nothing in the chamber. It now has in there a dummy round is loaded. To make sure everything's working, I'm going to simulate shooting the gun by just racking the slide. Each time I rack the slide, a round should be extracted and ejected out of the gun, and after the last round is ejected, the slide should lock back. So basically, and it worked perfectly. So that's the way I test the magazine. Naturally, any other magazines that you have, go ahead and do the same procedure with each magazine. Take it apart, clean it up, make sure you test it, and then you're good to go. If you found this video valuable, please hit like below, and please check out the product links in the description below. And thanks for watching. Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to reverse the magazine catch on a SIG P320. This is an M18 model. We're going to show you how to move the magazine catch from one side to the other. It's a little bit tricky, but once you do it the first time, you'll know how to do it. What you want to use is a small paper clip. You don't want a medium size or a larger paper clip, you want a small one. I've tried it with all different sizes and this one works the best. It's a little bit tricky. So first, verify that we have a completely unloaded gun. Press the magazine catch so it comes out the other side as far as it goes. When you press it, you're going to see a little hole there. And that hole is about the size for a paper clip. So hold it in kind of a comfortable way. I'm going to hold it like this. Take your paper clip, put it in the hole at a little bit of an angle, push a little bit, and then use it like a lever. It might bend. Use it like a lever to get this little piece to move up a little bit like that. And then pull it out. And then when you release the magazine catch from the other side, this piece stays up. You can just pull that out. That's just the magazine catch stop. And then you can pull this carefully out the other side because there's a spring on there. You don't want to lose that spring. And here are your pieces. You have a little spring. That spring is just sitting on there. And then you have this triangular piece like this. Now we want to put it into the other side. So if you're holding the gun in the right hand, you would press here. So we want to press on this side. Alright, so the spring is in the front of the gun, so it's going to go in this orientation. So kind of hold it this way, gently press that in, and we want it to come through like that. Now I'm pressing there. Now I can feel the spring pressure. So press it in as far as it goes. It's going to stick out a little. Then take this piece in this orientation and just slide it right down in there. Snap it in place, and now when you let go of the button on the other side, it's locked in place. And now the magazine catch is reversed. And of course, anytime you do that, take an empty magazine, slam it home, make sure the magazine catch works perfectly as it did before, and you're done. If you like this video, please hit like below and please subscribe, and thank you for watching. The SIG P320 is one of SIG Sauer's modular pistols. That means that you can change the entire look of this gun by changing the grip module, which is this entire piece here. You can get different slides. You can change the color, the style, the grip size. You can put a grip module on here that has back straps that are changeable and side panels that are changeable. The beauty of it is the fire control module on the inside is the heart of the whole thing. So if you field strip your gun, this is the fire control module. This is actually the serialized portion of the gun. And to get this out, all you need to do is pull the takedown pin straight out, pull up on the fire control module. The trigger's going to get in the way, so you just kind of help the trigger along and pull it out. And this is actually the gun. The serial numbers on the side, I have mine blacked out. And this module will go into different grip modules, and then you can change out the slide and the barrel. You can actually use this grip module on a 40 caliber, a 9mm, or a 45, and all you need to do is change out the parts. So now to put it back together, just to show you how easy it is, you just slide that in. Got to help the trigger in there a little bit. Comes right through. Make sure you have a clear hole. Put the takedown pin back through like that. It snaps back in place. Take your slide back on there. Lock that back up. Then your gun is back together. And anytime you reassemble your gun after changing any of this out or cleaning it, you want to see my video up here and do a function and safety check. Make sure everything is working right.